So I don't think we normally have this conversation with any other team in the league, but it seems like anytime the Patriots aren't just single-handedly killing teams, there's some sort of issues. And they've now lost 2 games in a row. Is it 2 games? Yeah,
Three in a row
three
now.
in a row. Yeah, which is the first time since like 2002. And people are questioning if the Patriots can go back to what they were before with Tom Brady. Can Cam fill that role? He got benched during the last game after throwing 3 picks, I think. And then Stidham came in the most rookie move possible on his first play, trips over his offensive lineman. Do you think the Patriots are in trouble?
I don't think they're in trouble, but I saw a report saying that Stephon Gilmore was on the trade block. That to me is really surprising because even if they decide to rebuild, why would they get rid of their star, building block corner? That to me is like kind of, I don't know if that's just a rumor somebody threw out there, just because that's how the media works. I thought that was really interesting. I don't see why they would get rid of him. I really don't think they're in trouble. I think that Bill Belichick can right the ship. I think Cam Newton is coming off an illness and he's hasn't had his chunky noodle soup or whatever McNabb used to promote.
Yeah.
And he's just
He hasn't had his Oinko's protein yogurt or whatever it
oh
was.
yeah, because
Didn't he?
he's
Yeah, the triple zero.
yeah, because he's vegan now, so you can't have that. Now he doesn't get
Right.
probiotics, gut health all out the fucking window. Now he's getting sick. Now he can't play football. I don't know, man. Something's fishy about that whole diet over there. But anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
You went vegan and got coronavirus. I
And
think
he
there's
went vegan, got cut, got signed to a veteran
yeah,
minimum,
yeah.
played really bad these last few weeks. I'm starting to think that veganism is the culprit for his bad play. But that's neither here nor there. We'll let the judges decide that. Um, so I don't know. I don't think they're in trouble. And like again, I keep saying because of Bill Belichick, but who knows? Maybe they are. I saw someone saying that they should just tank. I think that's pretty absurd, especially because the division is still open over there in the AFC East. The Bills, even though they're sitting at 5-2, they definitely don't look like world beaters by any means. So I don't think they're in trouble. Maybe if they lose this game to the Bills, then they're in trouble because it's going to be a little shaky trying to win that division down one against the Bills. But if they beat the Bills, then I think they're fine.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose, that's 4 losses in a row. I don't think Bill Belichick has ever had that. I mean, Bill Belichick did come out and say that Cam Newton was fine. He didn't even show symptoms of COVID, so there's really nothing wrong health wise with
Yeah,
him.
diarrhea from all that fiber.
Yeah, it's weird. It's at least from the outside looking in, it almost looks like it is imploding. But you always, in the back of your mind, you're like, nah, Bill Belichick's gonna figure this out. Like, he kind of purposely wanted to get 3 losses in a row out of the way, so he can have that on his record. You almost feel like Cam Newton was their last resort after seeing how bad Hoyer and Stidham played, and now it seems like Cam Newton's not working out. But I think somehow Bill Belichick's gonna figure that out too.
Yeah, I think they'll right the ship. I think this game against the Bills is going to be incredibly important for their season. So I think they're going to, I think they're going to come to play. And I think Cam Newton will be back on track. I don't think that Cam Newton is, everyone thinks he lost it. I don't think so. I think he could still be a serviceable starter for an NFL team. And I just think, he's had a bad few weeks, but I think he'll get it back.
Yeah, you mentioned Stephon Gilmore on the trading block. I actually saw reports today too about Xavier Howard being on the trading block for Miami. And when I went looking through the comments, the guy who reported it is like a reporter for the Miami Herald. He said, "Oh, just because he's on the trading block doesn't mean Miami actually wants to trade him. They just want to field offers." And I think when reporters do that kind of stuff, it's almost absurd. Like it's almost like they want to cause some sort of drama in the locker room, because I don't. As a player, like that's one of the last things you want to hear is that the team that you've pretty much been the centerpiece of their defense. Former defensive player of the year for Gilmore, Xavier Howard in Miami. He's gotten an interception like each of his last 4 games, and they're opposing quarterbacks, stay away from those guys. And having reports come out that they're on the trade block, I think it's just kind of shitty. Like, people don't actually think about the impact that might have, whether it be true or not. Now, coaches and GMs got to have that awkward conversation with the player, either telling them, like, yeah, we're just trying to see what kind of offers we can get, or, this is a whole lie. And it starts to bring up trust issues between players. And I mean, for Gilmore being in New England, I think he kind of knows his place there. But, the same thing happened with Richard Sherman a few years ago when I think Pete Carroll did come out and say, there's a price for everybody, but it's going to be a steep price for Sherman. And before you knew it, he went to a division rival.
Yeah, that is interesting, and the media definitely does pry. They definitely do, they definitely do understand the power that they have. And I mean, we're all part of a social media age. There's no way that even if say with the Xavier Howard situation or the Gilmore situation, there's no way that they're not on social media and they see a post where, hey, what's it called on the trade block? And they're like, oh, I was. And we see that all the time where, a player was like, oh, when did you first learn about, you getting traded? Or when did you first learn about the trade block? And they're like, oh, I saw it on social media. Like, the coach didn't even tell me or some shit. And, like, that's just a bad move by the, media. They understand the power that they have, and they're trying to get stories, and they're trying to fish. And it does, I would imagine it hurts the relationship with the team, right? If you're like thinking you're balling, you got no issues. I just got 2 picks, like I'm doing fine, whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, and I just got my contract too. I paid a lot of money to play there, and then all of a sudden there's reports coming out. We just want to feel some offers. Well, you're not feeling some offers if you're not interested in somebody possibly giving me giving you the right price for me. You know what I mean? Like, if you weren't interested in trading me, I wouldn't even be in this conversation. But clearly you have some sort of interest if this is true that, you wanted rid of me. So, I mean, I think NFL players know business is business, but there's no way that in the back of their mind they're like, I could potentially be leaving and, why am I busting my ass over here and this guy doesn't really care about me that much.
It's going to be exciting to see how that kind of plays out with the trades and the future of the Patriots. I mean, if they lose this game to the Bills, we might have to revisit this story because it's not going to be looking good.
Yeah, they can start dishing people like fucking.
And actually, you mentioned the Bills. Did you catch that game? Because for a minute there, it looked like the Jets were about to get their first dub.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game, but I watched the highlights. One thing that I saw was absurd, that the Jets had 4 total yards in the second half. That was
I didn't even realize
literally
that.
4 total yards in the second half. That's how bad their fucking offense was in that second half. The first half, Sam Darnold came out hot and was hitting a lot of receivers, and Frank Gore was getting in the mix, and yeah, they were leading at halftime. But yeah, that second half, freaking 4 total yards. I do not understand. I'm a Jags fan, and I still don't understand why Doug Marrone has a job in his house. But, dude, Adam Gase, man, if he is the coach next year, man, I don't even know. I don't think anybody in New York is going to go to a game. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's insane. And the media, the way they talk about it, almost make it seem like he's got a plan for the Jets next year. Like, this is what he's going to do, to the point where his job isn't even in jeopardy.
Yeah, who the fuck knows? I don't know. He's definitely.
He did give up. He gave up play calling duties, or at least offensive play calling, this week, which is what they say is what kept the Jets in it. And it was actually weird to see because as a Bills fan, I feel like Bills fans were starting to get worried because at one point there, right before halftime, the Jets were driving, and it almost seemed, I think they were up 10-6 maybe, or 10-3, and it almost seemed like the Jets could kind of put it away. And then Darnold throws a pick, and they don't do anything after that. Like you said, they have 4 total yards after. Talk about not making halftime adjustments.
I mean, we talked about it before, but at the end of the day, he's still got a job, and he'll probably ride it out until the end of the year and eventually get canned.
Yeah, they're kind of making him suffer, like you said. Being like, if we got to go through this, so do you. This is all you're doing. Right. Thank you for listening in to this clip of the Moose Bros podcast. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment below, and subscribe to this channel to see more clips just like this one. If you want to listen to the whole podcast, you can find us at Spotify or Apple Podcasts under Moose Bro Sports.